All right, Lotters, here we are, Week 16, championship weekend. This is what we play for. This is what everybody gets together for in August. Puts all those long hours of research in and hoping to make it to this week and have a shot to win that vaunted trophy, which I will actually bring down here as part of this segment. Stinker, Shark, this is what you guys are playing for. So, it's a big week. Big week. Anyway, last weekend, 2-0. Star Kiper was right on the money in the semis and looking to continue that hot streak going into championship weekend. Let's get right down to it. We're going to start with the Fuff Bowl, or the third place game. It's Outlaw at Star. What I'm going to do for both these games is go position by position and sort of give you who's got the edge at each position, and then at the end of the analysis, we'll name a winner. So for Outlaw, it's Roethlisberger. For Star at the quarterback position, we got Tannehill going. For Roethlisberger, it's an okay play. KC is just okay against the pass. They're not great. They're not awful. The problem with Ben is, you never know what you're going to get from week to week, no matter what the matchup is. A little bit of inconsistency there. Everybody was expecting a big game from him last week against Atlanta, and it just didn't happen. Le'Veon Bell happened to steal the show. So just an okay play there for Outlaw this week. And then Star was going to start Tannehill this week anyway, but then with Cutler getting benched, Tannehill was the no doubt play. Decent matchup against Minnesota. Again, with Tannehill, he can look great one week and awful the next. So both quarterbacks kind of a so-so play, but I'm giving the edge to Outlaw just because of Roethlisberger's track record. He should probably have a better outing. So check mark at quarterback for Outlaw. Moving on to the running backs, Outlaw's got McCoy and Blunt going against Stars. Randall, if Murray doesn't play, if Murray does play, Star will probably go with Steven Jackson, and then, of course, Jamal Charles. For Outlaw, McCoy and Blunt, both those guys faced really stout run defenses. You got Washington going against McCoy, and then the Jets are trying to stop Blunt. Blunt's a little bit dinged up. You saw last week where Jonas Gray was starting to get more of the touches again, eating into Blunt's workload. So I really don't like either of Outlaw's running backs this week. On Star's side, if Murray doesn't play, Randall is going to have a phenomenal outing. He's a quick back running behind that big offensive line that's made all those holes for DeMarco Murray all year. The Colts' run defense is horrible. So if Randall gets the start, he is going to be a great play. If Steven Jackson gets the start, I think that Saints-Falcons game is going to be a little bit of a shootout. There's the potential that he could get down inside the 5-yard line and get a touchdown. So either one of those running backs is a decent play. And then Charles, if he can stay on the field and stay healthy, has a good matchup against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's run defense has been suspect this year, so we like Charles in that matchup. So with both running back positions, I'm putting a check mark in Star's column. Going on to the wide receivers, Outlaw's got A.J. Green, Antonio Gates, and Emmanuel Sanders going up against Star's Randall Cobb, Dez Bryant, and either Harry Douglas or Julio Jones, depending on if Julio Jones plays or not. Let's go through them. A.J. Green should be a shootout with Denver, should have to score some points, so I like A.J. Green this week. Antonio Gates going against San Francisco, and that depleted linebacking core out there, I think he's going to play pretty well also. Emmanuel Sanders, those Cincinnati corners are the strength of that defense, and I just see for yet another week the Denver passing game struggling a little bit. On Star's side, Cobb and that Green Bay offense, those guys are really ticked off about the way that game went down last week in Buffalo. I look for everybody in that Green Bay offense to get healthy this week against Tampa Bay, so I really like Cobb this week. Dez Bryant and Tony Romo look like they've got a good thing going. It should be a shootout against the Colts. They have a bad defense all the way around, and if there's no DeMarco Murray, look for more of the workload to be shifted to the passing game and Dez to be the recipient of most of that work. Looking at Douglas and or Jones, shootout against the Saints. Harry Douglas looked good last week against Pittsburgh, so worst comes to worst, you plug Douglas in and you should get almost the same output that you would get from Julio Jones, and that should be a good output against that bad Saints defense. So looking at all the wide receiver matchups, I've got check marks on Star's side for all three wide receivers this week. The kickers, Crosby, of course, going against Tampa, and then Hauschka going against Arizona. I'm giving the nod to Outlaw here with Crosby. I think there's going to be a lot of points scored for Green Bay in that game. Seattle's offense just looks to be sputtering a little bit lately, and the Cardinals are trying to hang on to the division title there, so their defense is probably going to come to play. I just don't see as many opportunities for Hauschka as I do for Crosby. So put a check in the kicker column for Outlaw. And then Texans D against Lions D. The Texans could get after Flacco, but I don't see that much happening in that game. On the flip side, the Lions get the fortune of facing Clausen in his first start in probably about 5 years. That Bears offense is abysmal no matter who's behind center. The offensive line can't block anybody. They're depleted at wide receiver. The play calling sucks. I just think the Lions are going to really, really take it to that Bears offense this week. So I put a check mark in Stars column for defense. That being said, I've got 6 check marks in Stars column to 2 check marks in Outlaws. I've got Star winning the Fuff Bowl and taking third place. Moving on to the championship game, the big kahuna. This is for all the donuts. Stinker at Shark. Let's get right to it. In the quarterback column for Stinker, we got Breeze, and for Shark, we got the Sanchez. Breeze, like I said, is probably going to be in a little bit of a shootout with Atlanta. That game's got a lot of playoff implications. Obviously, the winner of that division gets an automatic berth, so both teams are going to be interested in that, and I think the offenses are going to reign supreme there. Sanchez, the Washington secondary isn't great, but again, it's the uncertainty with Sanchez. You just don't know what player you're going to get on what day. So I'm giving the check mark to Breeze and Stinker in the quarterback column. Lynch and Murray possibly. If Stinker doesn't have Murray's services, I'm just looking at his lineup and speculating here. I would guess that he would roll Ingram up to the RB2 spot and then plug someone into flex like Watkins or Sanu or somebody like that, but we'll get to that in a minute. So Lynch and Murray and or Ingram for the running backs against Toby Gerhart and Arian Foster for Shark. Lynch should be okay. They're obviously going to run the ball. Arizona's been gashed by other running backs recently, so I like Lynch this week. Obviously, if Murray plays and gets his appropriate workload, that's a bad Colts run D, and that would be a big boon for Stinker. We can even talk about Ingram if he starts at that spot going against a bad Falcons run D. Really like his opportunities to score some points as well. We saw what he did to Chicago on Monday night. Over on Shark's side, Toby Gerhart, the matchup is definitely good tonight. Jacksonville and Tennessee. But Gerhardt's had other great matchups to start the season, and he couldn't hang on to the starting job. When you're getting replaced by people like Storm Johnson and Denard Robinson and whoever the hell else they run out there at running back in Jacksonville, it can instill a whole lot of confidence. So I know he's getting the start, and I know he's going to get the workload. I just don't know what he's going to do with it. For Foster, he's going up against the number one run D in the NFL in Baltimore. He's a little bit dinged up, but it's Arian Foster. You got to play him, and I think he's going to perform fairly well given the tough matchup. But all that being said, when you look at the matchups and you look at the quality of players, I'm giving 2 check marks to Stinker in the 2 running back spots. Moving on to the wide receivers. For Stinker, he's got Evans in Tampa Bay, Hopkins in Houston, and then I'm thinking if he rolls Ingram up, it's either going to be Watkins or Sanu in that flex spot. And then for Shark, he's got Nelson going against Tampa Bay, Demaryius Thomas going against Cincinnati, and Gordon in his matchup this weekend. So just real quick, I don't think Evans is going to do much. I think that Green Bay pass rush is going to get after McCown or whoever the hell is starting for Tampa this week. Hopkins is going against the last-ranked pass defense in the league in Baltimore. However, he's just another one of those players that's inconsistent from week to week. You know, you can get 150 and 2 touchdowns, or you can get 30 yards and no touchdowns. So it's just a little bit tough to figure. And then I can't really speculate on the flex spot for Stinker because I don't know who he's going to start there. But I don't think it's going to matter too much. Looking at Nelson on Shark's side, I've already talked about what I think Green Bay is going to do to Tampa Bay. That's a great boon for Shark. And then Demaryius Thomas. It is a good Cincinnati secondary, but it's Demaryius Thomas. So absolutely a stud there and should play well. The only receiver I don't like for Shark is Gordon. And it's really just the Johnny Manziel factor. He looked horrible. He's not doing his homework. He doesn't know how to read defenses. He's just winging it on every play, and that doesn't instill a whole lot of confidence for me for him to get the ball to his number one playmaker. So I give Shark 2 check marks in the wide receiver spot, Nelson and Thomas, and I'm going to give Stinker the check mark in the flex spot for either Ingram or one of the 2 wide receivers that I think he'll play in that spot. Moving on to the kickers, Barth for Stinker and Parkey for Shark. I really think it's a push. Both of them have just so-so matchups. I think they're both going to have opportunities for field goals. I just can't discern which one I think is going to have the better game, so I'm giving that a push. And I'm looking at the defenses. Stinker rolls out the Browns, and Shark is rolling out the Giants. Again, I think that's a push on both sides. Neither of those defenses excite me. Neither of the matchups scream that one has an advantage over the other, so I'm giving those a push as well. You know, I think this game is going to be a great championship game. I think it's going to be really close. There's just a couple things on Shark's side that I'm really not sold on, Gerhardt being one, Gordon being another. I think that's just going to be tough. I know he's a great player, but I just don't know how they're going to get him the ball and how he's going to be a factor with Manziel at quarterback. And really for those reasons and a couple of good matchup spots on Stinker's side, I'm giving Stinker the edge here to win this Lot Bowl 2014. So there you have it. I want to wish all the competitors this weekend good luck. I want to say thanks to everybody for a great season. This final segment of Star Kiper has been brought to you by TaylorMade, the #1 drivers in golf. I hope everybody has a really good weekend, and let's stay in touch. I think there needs to be an owners meeting in the off season to talk about potential rule changes. I think that would be a really good idea for us to get together for a day or so and sit down and talk about some stuff. But other than that, Merry Christmas to everybody and a Happy New Year, and I will see you in 2015. Take care. Bye-bye.